Kamran Bokhari is an analyst on South Asian affairs for Stratfor. Joins me now from Toronto via Skype. Good to have you with us. Given the, I guess you could say, mutual geopolitical and trade interests between India and the United States, is an expulsion spat like this likely to have any sort of long-term detrimental effects on diplomatic ties?
I seriously doubt that that would be the case. As you say, the United States and India have deep relations, economic, security, political relations. I don't think that this one spat is going to upend that relationship or even damage it. I think we should treat this episode as an unintended incident that has taken on a geopolitical role, partly because the Indian government is facing elections, and so there is a domestic political angle to this. And two, there is this widespread sentiment in India that the United States should not be allowed to pressure the country. This is something that's pretty widespread, and therefore New Delhi has no option but to stand its ground, and that's why we see this reciprocation in terms of demanding that one U.S. diplomat leave India.
Does that explain why then so much attention in India has been focused on the diplomat rather than on the nanny?
I think that the diplomat is seen as a symbol as a national symbol. When a situation like this happens, this isn't the first time that an Indian official has been, treated in a quote unquote unfair way from the point of view of the Indians. We've had, film star Shah Rukh Khan being stopped at an entry point in once visiting the United States. So there is this sentiment that the United States just can't do what it wants to citizens of other countries, and therefore it's not about the diplomat versus the nanny. It's about an Indian being prosecuted by U.S. authorities, and then on top of that, the claim is that this is a person that has diplomatic immunity. So that sort of pours more fuel onto the fire in New Delhi, and therefore we see this becoming a big episode as opposed to a minor incident.
And talking of diplomatic immunity, how clear are the laws on diplomatic immunity? How normal is it for someone of that rank to be not only arrested but then strip searched?
There's always, both sides have their arguments, so it's really difficult to say that what law applies where. And the diplomatic immunity is brought in place by the State Department, but here the arrest and then the prosecution is done through the Justice Department, and so there is an overlap. Clearly this was not intended by the U.S. State Department, much less the Obama administration itself. This is the work of another office within the Justice Department whose actions then got state and even the White House involved in this and became an international row. So I think that in terms of diplomatic immunity, clearly American laws are the diplomatic laws are complex. You have levels of diplomatic status. For example, if you have a vehicle and you're a diplomat in the United States, if you have full diplomatic status, you would have the D sign on your license plate. But if you're a member of a staff, you have S, and there are different levels of access. So similarly, we have a situation where the prosecutors are alleging that this issue is not covered under diplomatic immunity, whereas, of course, the Indian side is saying, no, she has full diplomatic immunity, and therefore this was a debate.
Thanks so much for your thoughts on that, Kamran Bokhari.
My pleasure.